Commissioner Garcia, it is expected that tonight President Trump will promote even more his proposal to protect DACA in exchange for the wall. If you were in Congress, how would you vote for it? And also, what would you do for the other million of immigrants who don't benefit from DACA but will be very affected by the changes proposed?
I remain vehemently opposed to building a wall. I think it insults human intelligence. If we cheer the collapse of the Berlin Wall, why do we want to build a wall on our southern border? One. Two, it is quite possible that some form of compromise that comes forth in the next days or weeks or perhaps months will include a poison pill. It could be border security, it could be fences, it could be electronic monitoring, it could be surveillance and drones. We already have that at the border. What I want to see is to protect the ability for families to continue to petition for their loved ones, maintaining the preference categories currently in the system. It's been a bedrock of our immigration system. It is unfortunate that there's even talk about ending that.
Thank you.
We need to protect it along with the DACA, the TPS, and the other classes of immigrants.
Thank you. Sergeant Gonzalez?
Building a wall on the border of Mexico is an insult to anyone who considers himself a Democrat. I don't believe that I would do an exchange of a wall for the folks at DACA to remain here in the United States. It's something that I couldn't even imagine doing. I believe that we need to get everyone here who's undocumented registered for purposes of homeland security. If we know who's here and we do this without any fear of deportation, then those folks who decide not to register are doing so for nefarious reasons. And one of the things that we have to consider is terrorism here in the United States. Let's give everyone the opportunity to be here legally. Let's get them registered, and let's figure out who should not be here.
Thank you. Ms. Flores?
I want to be clear. This president does not speak for me. He doesn't speak for me, and he doesn't speak for my community, and he doesn't understand what immigration is for our people. I was there the day that my stepsister raised her hand and took her oath of naturalization. And I saw the hopes and dreams in her eyes and on her face and in the class of 100 other young people that were becoming citizens on that day. And that's the same thing that I see in the young people who are DACA recipients. And I will fight to make sure that they can stay here. The other thing is, I'm clear, my stepsister wouldn't be here had it not been for the preservation of family unification. And we have got to make sure that stands strong, along with protecting temporary protective status people who are escaping refugee situations.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Gonzalez, where do you stand on the legalization of marijuana for recreational use?
I'm a Chicago police sergeant, and so folks will ask me, how do I believe, or what do I believe about the legalization of marijuana? Today, you can jump into a bar, any bar in the city of Chicago, anywhere in the United States, and drink to your heart's content. And you get drunk, and accidents occur. Legalization with responsibility is what I advocate for. So I am not against the legalization of marijuana, so long as it's done in a controlled environment and people act and behave in a respectful manner.
Ms. Flores.
I support the legalization of marijuana. I think this is incredibly important, particularly for young people in our communities that have been preyed upon and have been arrested and had to go through an unfair judicial system because of small levels of using marijuana. I think we should have legalized marijuana with controls in terms of taxes and tax base. I think it will cut down on petty and unnecessary crimes as well.
Mr. Garcia.
I support the legalization of marijuana as we study the experience of other states that have moved and legalized marijuana. Two, the legalization of marijuana will help us do away with unnecessary mass incarceration that especially has an impact on Latino and African American youth. It is important also because it can provide another revenue source for units of government like the state of Illinois, which is in very dire straits, and that funding can be invested in worthwhile programs in communities that need it the most in particular.
Thank you. I want to remind, for those of you watching us on Facebook, that you can send your question. Hopefully it will be selected, and we'll be asking it later. And for those of you present here tonight, you can send a text to 42363 with your question as well. Okay, let me ask the next question to Ms. Flores. Since 2008, more than 11,000 people have lost their lives in Illinois because of a heroin overdose. What's the solution for that? Because this problem is growing exponentially, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better.
Yeah. For the last 15 years, I've worked with young people and families who are experiencing addiction. And what we know is that when they show up for help, we've got to be there. We've got to walk with them hand in hand. We have got to treat addiction in this country the way we would a broken leg or a bad kidney. Right? We have to stop criminalizing young people who are using drugs. There is something else that's happening in their lives. And what it means is we need access to more affordable and accessible mental health services and recovery services. And those have to be done and brought forth from the federal government into our local communities, and they have to be done in a way that's culturally competent. You can't tell young people, stop using drugs, it's gonna be bad for you. We have to do it in a way that meets their needs in their community.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Garcia.
The opioid crisis has become a national crisis. It's been recognized even by very conservative members in elective office at the highest levels. We have been addressing the issue of opioids in Cook County and in the metro area for quite some time. There's been cross-collaboration, Cook County with other counties. We need to ensure that we train as many people as possible on this phenomenon that is going on, the measures that people can take, but most importantly, educating young people about the dangers of it and the help that they can seek to prevent further use of opioids.
Sergeant Gonzalez.
Currently, today, addiction is a problem that's facing every city, every state in the United States. It's a problem because it's a disease. And like any other disease, it has to be addressed, it has to be looked at, but we can't forget the results or the consequences of driving under the influence or driving under drugs. There still are laws that you have to obey. So while I advocate bringing in more resources to help folks with addictions, I also believe that for the safety of those driving and people in general, that we have to enforce laws that condemn folks who do so. So yes, we have to address the problem. Yes, we need to bring in resources to help these folks because this is a disease. But we also have to enforce laws and make sure that people are driving under the guidance of the law.